Ndinoda kuti nyika isiwe vanhu vangu inguva yedu hatingatadzi kubudirira Mwari ari parutivi pedu rambai muchirwa My hitters gon' die, don't die The real hitters gon' shine And my people gon' line Cause we're born to win it I ain't saying
how the hell do I not have a deal? I swear this thing is a real dog. I play it fan off, the cowards that they can't feel. The wife try to console me like it's coming, baby, chill. She don't understand. I'm the only one that's real. I remember the third grade. Them kids, they had waves. I had them BDBs. You know that Zimbabwean bread. So they do shades and your boy hit the stage, press play, and all the chicks was like, yeah. While boys was moving bricks, I was moving chips. If she gave me calculus, gave her a mouthful of it. Heat rose to this thing, boy, I bet on myself.
Grand Rising, everybody. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday, and I'm so excited for this amazing thorough Thursday. Also, I love to say think it through Thursday when we got our resident life coach, Curtis Calhoun, in the building. He is here to drop that real lifer tip number 12 on us, y'all. It's like we've gone through all 11 other tips. It's time for us to get to number 12. Of course, coming in last, but definitely not least. And so I'm excited that he is here today to drop some gems on us so we can all take these tips in to make our lives better. But of course, it's the top of the show, y'all. So it's a great time to tag and share the stream. That's right. Go ahead, tag and share the stream with folks you feel could benefit from a daily dose of dopeness right here on the Day with Trae. If you can't watch us, don't worry. You can always listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and the Day with Trae. Y'all will find me on Google, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Apple Music, whatever it is, you name it, whichever is your favorite. Search for us and y'all will find us there. Huge shout out to our podcast team. I love to give the love because they make sure we are sounding great, right? They are taking this audio and making it something special for all of you podcast listeners out there. So shout out to that entire team for doing that work. We appreciate you all. I've been sharing these message, throughout the week. It's been so phenomenal to see how Converge Media has been on the ground, like really pounding the pavement, y'all, and in here to tell stories and share what's going on in community. It's so great to see so many different amazing things happening in our community. And it looks like 23rd Ave Brewery partnered with Art Noir for a really special night. Check this out.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Scott. Welcome to Art Noir. So what's going on here today is we are hosting a resident and community engagement event where we have invited our friends at 23rd Avenue Brewery to host a tasting of some of their specialty craft beers. And so we have people who are from the community and residents of the Midtown Square here, meeting the fellas from 23rd Avenue Brewery, tasting some amazing beers, and checking out our amazing space, some of the art and some of the products that we have for sale here at Art Noir.
Glad that we came out to the event. A lot of people turned out more than expected, and people are loving the beer, so that's just what makes us excited, What it really came from was our experiences. We really focused our beers around, the people that we love and our experiences. So the Pepper Peach is dedicated to my family in Laredo. The Ananas is dedicated to my brother's wife, and then the Imperial Stout is dedicated to our fire pit days when we were making fire pits and enjoying each other at barbecues. Like, I feel like the community really embraced us, the beer community, the community we're in. Everybody's been giving us helping hands, however they can. It's just been great. I feel like we're growing, expanding, and just trying to get better with our process and what we're trying to do. So, we feel really good. They sold us out on day one, and it's kind of continuing. We kind of caught up to, what the community expects from us as far as how much beer we got to make. But now we're just trying to make more and get out to different places, to different collabs. All kind of matriculated, so we're like, we got to come down here for this beer tasting because this is our community. And we're on 23rd and Union, which is another block that we came from when we grew up in, which is crazy.
A collaboration like this is important because it is aligned with our mission as an organization to spotlight Black artists, creatives, Black businesses, and be in partnership in this community. 23rd Avenue Brewery is a new Black business just up the street from us on 23rd and Jackson. And we want to make sure that we're also spotlighting their business while we're also shining a light on what we do here at Art Noir.
Brewmaster skills, yeah, I mean, they're ever evolving, right? So, I mean, you should always be getting better. You should always be evolving, always be coming up with new recipes, new flavor profiles. And that's what we do. We've got other partnerships with local restaurants and bars and things like that. So the community's been great. The community comes out and supports us every Friday and Saturday, and that's where we're at. Opening day, I was excited. I was just excited. I didn't know what to do with that nervous energy. You know what I'm saying? It was nervous energy, you know, but now I'm sitting more in my skin a little bit about it, and I know what we bring to the table because y'all told me what we bring to the table.
Wow, always so inspiring to see these amazing events and collaborations happening in our community. As they both shared there's an importance around showcasing these styles of collaboration with Black spaces that are reemerging in the Central District. And for those of you who don't know that history, obviously there's a lot of gentrification that's taken place in the Central District. And before all of that, you know, businesses like Art Noir and like 23rd Ave Brewery, just Black owned businesses and hubs where we can experience our culture and, you know, get to know our neighbors. It was like family growing up in the Central District. So I really appreciate the intentionality of these kinds of collaborations and partnerships to bring these events to bear for some of the new residents to really experience that culture and that vibrancy that's really built off of a legacy of so much of what I grew up around and didn't realize, like, man, this could be gone one day. Never even contemplated it as a young person. So I am so elated to see Art Noir and 23rd Ave Brewery coming together to make this happen for folks in the community. And, you know, shout out to all the folks who helped to make this happen. Y'all are phenomenal. And if y'all don't know of either one of these spaces, you know, my goal by sharing these stories and Converge being out on the ground is to really give you exposure to them. You know, you may not know about something, but once you're exposed to it, now it's on you, right? You don't get to no longer say you didn't know or you didn't understand that that was there. We're giving it to you, right? You know, hand to mouth, right? So you have no excuse but to participate in some of these amazing spaces, but to go out and support them and ensure that they stay thriving for generations to come. That's the work that we all get to do, right? That's how we all get to participate. So shout out to the whole Converge team for pounding the pavement, for making sure that we know about these amazing kinds of events. And I'll also say one other thing, y'all. When they talk about there being nowhere to go, there ain't nothing going on. Oh, it's the winter in Seattle. Ain't nobody doing that. That is not true. And we are also here to debunk that myth, man. Get out here, enjoy some of these amazing events that are curated for you to have a great experience. So again, you know, get yourself out there and be a patron of these amazing businesses. Well, I'll get to continue on this amazingness after this short break. I get to talk to Curtis R. Calhoun. He's coming up next. He is in the building, our resident life coach. He will always have that title here. We'll be learning more about Real Lifer tip number 12, y'all. Stay tuned after this short break. You're watching The Day with Trae. What's up, everybody? You know, me and Besa, my girl, we had to pull up to Market Street Shoes once again, y'all.
And you know, we do this every season. We have to get the new shoes, the new boots, and this time I even got a coat.
Yeah, no, you did walk in without a coat.
I really
I'm glad
did.
you found one. But their boots were on point.
Yes, the boots, the bags. I even grabbed a flannel.
Yeah, you did. You know, and I was able to get some hats and everything. I was really impressed.
And you know, I was impressed because, of course, I got those white boots that you guys see me wearing everywhere these days.
Yeah, no, I look at your white boots and I'm like, darn it, they only have one pair. Me and Basa wear the same size. Of course, every time we walk out with several bags in hand.
Several bags and sometimes even a backpack, you guys. Make sure you check out Market Street Shoes.
Yeah, please check them out. Where they go, Basa?
Ooh, 2232 Northwest Market Street, Seattle, Washington.
Prosperity in Black America. What will this require? Is Black business prospering? Are we reaching women and minority-owned businesses? How do we achieve earning parity for wealth for our families? Do our children really have access to education? Will our families have choices for our children? Prison pipelines, mass incarceration, tearing our families apart. A healthcare system not accessible to the masses. The disproportionate termination of Black women from corporate America. When will we actually begin to address what's really at play? How do Black people gain more power to help make these changes? This requires a lot of political will and courage. I'm that provocateur of change. I am Cindy Bright. Welcome to Heartbeat.
Pacific Northwest Ballet unveils Giselle, ballet's classic tale of romance, betrayal, and immortal love. The New York Times calls it a triumph, comparable to an epic film. This stunning production is touched by magic. Order tickets now at pnb.org.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now is my guy, resident life coach, Curtis Calhoun. What's up? How are you, C?
Peace, Trae. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, it's so great to be with you today. I mean, this has been such a phenomenal segment, and I appreciate you so much for, when I reached out to you at the top of the season, the first season, the Day with Trae, and you said, come on, let's do it, and you had these 12 tips that you said, I actually have something to share with folks. And I appreciated you for having this amazing structure. Every time you came on, you have your points on point. Of course, that means we need to go back. We need to go back to the beginning. We need to do a refresher because these 12 tips are really all encompassing of a way to kind of move, but it creates also a lifestyle. Let's go back and remember those first 11 tips.
Okay. So tip number 1, real lifers give 110% at everything they do. 2, real lifers are 110% responsible for everything that happens in their lives, especially what they think, feel, say, and do. 3, real lifers make their word bond and keep it impeccable. 4, real lifers pursue personal growth and development daily. 5, real lifers set an intention for the day every day. 6, real lifers are growth mindset oriented. 7, real lifers are realistically positive and optimistic, but are able to see all aspects of a situation. 8, real lifers acknowledge who they are right now with ambitions to improve. 9, real lifers are conscious of their physical and mental diet. 10, real lifers get a proper amount of rest and do some sort of physical activity daily. And last time I was here, we covered number 11, which is real lifers genuinely find ways to connect with people every day.
Yeah. I mean, we went over the first 10 tips the last time you were here, and it's just to hear them in, order like that. they really build upon each other. Each one kind of leads into the next one. And so the intentionality that you had in creating, the system to go in this way, also I think is a true testament to how you show up for clients, right? There's a level of intentionality there. Of course, now we get to dive into real life or tip number 12, the final tip here. Last but not least, give it to us, C.
All right. Number 12 is real lifers look for ways to do good and go the extra mile. And this comes from Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. And I think this is very important because it connects to that last one that we just had with number 11, where we're intentional about connecting with people every day, nurturing old relationships, but also creating opportunities for new ones. And this is really the way that we do that, is putting ourselves out there and doing good. And we'll get into kind of the details of that here in a sec with the 3 points.
Yeah, this is something I actually have experienced with you. I think all of these tips, you really live them and it shows. It's important that people understand that, there's a level of balance, I think, that the universe provides in terms of that giving good and receiving good. And people can call it karma, whatever they want to call it. But it's like there is something that is, energy driven, right? It's not something that we can tangibly always see, but it's definitely something that you feel. What is one of the first points here, C?
Well, before we get to the first point, I want to just kind of follow up on your thought. That's really where this comes from. I'm an old Amway guy in my former life. I sold the soap. But it comes from back in the day, we were taught there's just such things called the law of compensation. What you put out comes back. And it doesn't necessarily come back from where you put it out to, like you say. It's not necessarily where you put the energy into. It could come from somewhere else, but it has to come back. So as long as you're putting it out there, it's going to come back from somewhere, and probably when you least expect it. Yeah. So with that, jumping into number 1 is find ways to be of service and add value to others. And when I was reading this and kind of going over it this morning, I thought about me and you, because a lot of these we embodied, and we really, because we've done community work together for so long, we've been able to see each other really perform these things in community. And this is a big one, is find ways to be of service to others. And I see you do that all the time by just asking me to come on the show and share this. That's a part of that, but just other things that you do and ways you connect other people to things and resources. This is part of that. And it's in the coaching, previously we talked about paying it forward. Yeah. Always paying it forward and putting it out there. Again, that law of compensation, where if I put it out there, to come back.
Well, there's something so important, and I appreciate you acknowledging me in that way. See, that means a lot. It's for me, there's something so important about how you just show up in the world, right? And I'm so grateful that my parents and like my circle of influence from early on really instilled that in me, that so much of it was about like, hey, you're out there, you representing us. And that mattered to me in a way that meant, okay, no, I don't just get to be all over the place, right? I've got to hone that in, I've got to be able to show up in a way that allows people to experience what I'm, trying to put out there, that's what they experience, right? So my intention of what I want to be has to come through my action. So I really appreciate that. And it's so very true in terms of that, the balance of that, right? And I think a lot of folks, can see others doing it and go, well, man, how do I do it? Well, so much of it is like this internal work, right? We've been talking about that from every point, that so much of this is internal. I really appreciate that one. What's number 2?
So number 2 is do good anonymously without seeking or expecting recognition. And this is a good one, because this is how you kind of tell the fake people or the people, who are not genuine and sincere from the people who are really about the work and are really about doing good. Right? Because if you're looking for recognition and if you're looking for attention and everything you do, it has to be filmed or recorded or, put on Facebook or IG, then you may not be doing it for why you think you're doing it. When you just genuinely do it, don't care who gets the credit. And this was hard for me because I like credit. I like attention. You know what I'm saying? So this was difficult for me. But it was necessary because I really wanted to do good. I really wanted to be a benefit and add value to our community, to the people that I work with, to the people that I engage with or come in contact with every day. And I really wanted them to be able to feel the impact of our relationship in a positive way, because that wasn't always the case.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talk about a service mentality, right? A heart for service. And I hear people say that kind of in a religious aspect, but really it's so much more than that. It goes beyond that, because when you do have a genuine heart for service, there's something so unique about your approach to whatever you're giving, right? I think about this platform all the time, and I'm so grateful for it, right? I was just, I mean, this really hits home for me. I was just sharing with my cousin this morning, like before walking into the studio, that as I think about some of the impact that I want to continue to have, I realize that it comes with people having to see me do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so inevitably, even though I'm like, I don't need that, like people are going to give them to me. I get that, right? Or that it's going to come in that way. However, that's not my driving force for any of this work, and I'm so grateful to have a solid foundation to say, I just want to be able to create impact. I want to be able to elevate someone like a Curtis R. Calhoun for others to go, whoa, wait a minute. I need to hit up this life coach because I need his services. The point of all of this is, even if it's my daily show, what I'm showcasing is the most important thing for me. And ultimately, it is the exposure that people have to some of the amazing folks that are right here in our backyard. I think we often seek assistance from nationally accredited, and it was a New York Times bestseller, or all of these kinds of things that draw people to a certain guru or expert or whatever it is, right? And I'm just like, yo, if you only understood, the brilliance is so much closer to you, right? So that for me is a big reason why I was so excited that you said yes, because I was like, I know, I see you live this, and I didn't even know all 12 principles at all, but I've experienced them because of how you move. And so when I realized that you had this coaching business, I was like, oh, it makes sense, because you show up in a very authentic way, and everybody who experiences you is able to say the same thing, right? Yeah. You are the same through and through, right? Yeah. We know you ain't talking bad about nobody. You ain't you're going to be very, authentic. And, when people are like, man, you and Curtis, I'm like, well, good grief. I'm in good company. If you can say me and Curtis in the same sentence, like we doing good stuff. But I realized that that's the biggest thing for me is it says the day with Trae, but it's not about Trae. It's about like the person that Trae is here with. It's about whoever is here on that day with me, right? Yeah. It's about their journey. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Just to finish again, kind of finish your thought, when you said that mentioning me and you in the same, that's good company, right? That wasn't always the case. So for me, last week, was my last day with Africatown Black Dot full time. My wife threw a going away party, and just to see so many people show up and the impact that I've made over the 6 years. And when you're in it doing the work, you don't see all that. But to have everybody show up and be in the room at the same time, people coming up and sharing stories of how you've impacted and changed their life, and you don't even realize it because they never told you before. Mm-hmm. But you're hearing these stories, and I was false. It's just, but that wasn't always the case, and I've been very intentional about creating or becoming that person that could do that. That work. And like I said, it was never about the credit to come back and say, yeah, I did this. Yeah, I did that. But to hear them come back and share those stories, it was amazing. It made me feel really good. So when you mentioned that being mentioned in the same name, that kind of hit home.
Well, I'll say, even being there and being surrounded by the people who you've impacted, I was moved. And I was like, this is what life is. And, honestly, it's like, you have made such a tremendous positive impact. I really appreciate your transparency too, because you do mention it wasn't always the case. And the reason why I want to really talk about that today is because as we are ending on this real lifer system, people need to understand that they have the power to pivot. They have the power to shift their life to create what it is that they desire to see within themselves. All it really takes is a belief in yourself and some real, genuine, intentional change. to motivate yourself to be different. And you really are an example of that. So I appreciate that you always bring it back to like, well, look, that wasn't always the case, right?
Yeah.
Because people need to remember, you know, that there are those of us who sometimes we need to reinvent ourselves, y'all. And that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. If you know that there's some ways that you've moved, that doesn't have to define who you're always going to be. So I appreciate you sharing that in that transparent way. What's the third point for us on 12?
The third point is always do more than is expected. And the first 2 points, which are give 110% at everything you do, and we're 110% responsible for everything we think, feel, say, and do. That's that part, right? It's not just 100%, but we're always going to do a little more. You know, if you give me 35%, I'm going to give you 40. You give me 70%, I'm gonna give you 75. I'm always gonna do more than is expected. I'm always gonna do more than the other person does, because I want to be able to really add value and really be a person who's able to create that impact in the results.
Yeah, well, look, there's some of us who I think I live by this rule and it becomes automatic.
Yes.
You know, the more that you do, I think any of these tips, any of these points here on the Realifer system, the more automatic they become. And you look back and you go, I didn't realize I was even doing that, right? I had a very unique situation where I was guided to be like, okay, don't do as much right now. And that was a challenge for me, because I was like, I don't even know what that looks like, right? I have no idea what that even means, right? And I took heed to it because it was necessary for me. But I realized in that moment that I had to like switch the way that I even processed and thought about my output, because it, like you said, when you move like that and it's automatic, you realize, like, when I was able to analyze it, I care so much about the impact that my output has, that I realize I spend a lot of time thinking about the end result of something, particularly in media, right? Where we create something and we go after a project because we're like, this is an amazing story, it needs to be told. Well, in order for it to even resonate, others have to see it and go, that was an amazing story that you told. Wow, I was impacted by that in this way. Now I know more. Now I get to do this or that. So when people share those reflections with me, and the way that they receive something that, I've worked on or produced, or a guest I had on, or an interview I conducted, all of those things are like major for me, because I'm like, wow, that's exactly why I do this. And so I always want to thank folks who share that. But you're so right. The more you do them, the more automatic it becomes.
Well, it's humbling, right? And then when you get that, what do you want to do? More. I want to go do 10 times that. If this is the way it impacted one person, then wow, I could impact more people. So then you want to go harder. We're saying sometimes you need to slow down, back off, and we got to make sure we take time for self-care. But like you asked me kind of coming in, how's your first week? It's been 7 days. I was depressed for like 4 or 5 of those days, because I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I felt like I had lost my purpose. And this is what I'm looking at now is trying to gain clarity around how to move forward, and what direction and what ways that I want to make impact now. That aren't necessarily tied to somebody else's dream or vision. I have to create the vision for myself and be able to find ways I can connect with community.
Well, there's so many, I'm sure. And because you've already made such a major impact for so many different folks, I can only imagine that you opening yourself up to these opportunities is going to be nothing but beneficial for you, my friend. I mean, clearly these 12 tips have been beneficial to those who you've been able to have as direct clients. I know folks out here in the audience hearing these tips and being able to take them in, really being able to engage within themselves in terms of each one of these tips has been helpful to me, and I'm sure to so many others. When you think about, taking this leap, this is such a major leap of faith. Of course, you have opportunity for folks to be clients, but, I want to stay connected. See, as you having speaking engagements coming up and things like that the community can support, let's make sure that we always have a space for you here on The Day with Trae. You're always welcome. This is your home. Of course, if folks are trying to connect with you, and maybe last words that you have in terms of these 12 tips and what you've been bringing with the Realifer system, please look right there and let them know.
Yeah. With these 12 points, we went through 3 bullet points for each, but there's also a 4th bullet point for each, and that's the one that you create for yourself. This has to be personal. It has to be something that you're bought into. It has to be something that's intentional about your life and the growth that you need to make and the changes that need and the transformations that need to happen. So create a number 4 for each one. You can reach me at curtiscalhoun.com. All my social media handles are Curtis R. Calhoun. That's LinkedIn, IG, Facebook, Twitter. And then Curtis Calhoun at curtiscalhoun.com. If you want a checklist, I have basic and advanced checklists for each one of these so you can kind of see how things are going. But I hope this isn't the last opportunity that I have to be on the show. There's many more things that I have to share and other ways that I can add value beyond just this. And would love to continue to be regular coming in and sharing things to you.
Say less, as the kids say. Definitely, you have a slot on this agenda, on this schedule, as long as we need to. I think it's so important that folks understand from someone like yourself who really has so many people resonating in community with your impact that you've already provided them. It's important that we continue this message. And honestly, I think a lot of folks out there are still trying to figure things out. And it's so important to me to be a conduit of how to give that information out to the public. So anytime, CEO, I'm looking forward to having you back. Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Oh, y'all, of course, I get to wrap up all of this amazingness right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae. What's up, everybody? You know, me and Besa, my girl, we had to pull up to Market Street Shoes once again, y'all.
And you know, we do this every season. We have to get the new shoes, the new boots, and this time I even got a coat.
Yeah, no, you did walk in without a coat.
I'm
glad you found one, but their boots were on point.
Yes, the boots, the bags. I even grabbed a flannel.
Yeah, you did. You know, and I was able to get some hats and everything. I was really impressed.
And you know, I was impressed because, of course, I got those white boots that you guys see me wearing everywhere these days.
Yeah, no, I look at your white boots and I'm like, darn it, they only have one pair. Me and Besa wear the same size. Of course, every time we walk out with several bags in hand.
Several bags and sometimes even a backpack, you guys. Make sure you check out Market Street Shoes.
Yeah, please check them out. Where they go, Besa?
Ooh, 2232 Northwest Market Street, Seattle, Washington.
Welcome back, everybody, to The Day with Trae. Of course, I got to give a huge shout out to my guest today, Curtis R. Calhoun, bringing us Real Lifer tip number 12. Such a great tip pointing system. I mean, when you think about all 12 tips that he has shared, he just said it right there. Reach out to him, get that checklist, and make sure the 4th bullet point is your contribution to that tip. And it's so great to hear that, because really we do need to understand how personal this can be for all of us. Our journeys are different. Our goals are different. The pathways to getting to these end results, and as we continue to get there and then grow more, all of that is so unique and special to who we are as beings in this world, and the connectivity that we get to share, you know, amongst each other and in our communities is also something that we need to be intentional about. So I'm so appreciative of Curtis R. Calhoun for being here, consistently going to be our resident life coach, bringing us amazing tips. And it's great because now you all have access to him. You know what he's about. If you got to ask anybody, just check on anybody who knows Curtis and they will tell you he is authentic through and through. So I'm so appreciative of him and bringing his system to The Day with Trae to share it with all of you. Y'all know that I was inspired, right? I mean, I want you to be inspired. You know, Curtis found a way to really see himself as a part of the solution by pivoting who he used to be and creating the man that we all get to experience today. There's something so special about that story, and yet it's also something that we can all be doing in our lives. How are we going to shift and pivot and change ourselves to be the best version of ourselves, not just for our family and our friends, but for our community as a whole? Be inspired, y'all, to see yourself as a part of the solution, as Curtis has. Of course, for me, until tomorrow at 11 a.m., y'all. Peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.